just being ready to practice our best self, to make space to step out of anything else from our minds, any other emotions or habits. We're just making space to really give our best self the chance it deserves. And as we're all entering, let's just begin with our intention setting. So, I said we're here to take some time for ourselves, but I want you to feel that in yourself. Why here? What do you want to achieve? But I invite you to feel it even bigger. Maybe it will be a positive influence on your friends and family. Or maybe over your life, you'll transform hundreds of other people's lives. Or maybe you'll create a game or a movie or a book that could impact millions of people. Set your intention that you're going to practice amazing stuff today that will continue to make your life and the world a better place. Alright, so let's all just grab a seat. And I decided to make today's theme sharing amazing experiences that we can have in meditation. I hope many of you have experienced relaxation and peace that you can get from meditation. I hope that some of you have had other beautiful experiences, whether that's feeling kindness or inspiration. And I'm just going to share today some of the more wild experiences that I've had, and just to get us a bit excited for what amazing things our consciousness can do. So let's all just start by taking 3 peaceful breaths together, just to remember how nice it is to be in peace. And as I describe some of these different experiences, you may remember times you've had something similar, or you may be meditating on what I say and you might just find yourself having some similar experience. So there's lots of beautiful experiences people have entering meditation. There's a sense of calm. Some of you may have found the relaxation in your body just feels really good. Some of you may have found that relaxing just a little bit is helpful. But then there are these deeper kinds of relaxations we feel where our whole body feels at peace, or aches and pains disappear, or are dramatically lessened. People sometimes feel like their body expands, like their hands and feet float away. Fox, you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I have to go, but I'll be back.
All right, welcome back. So let's all just take a deep breath to let our minds feel calm and to let your body feel calm. Some of you may have experienced as you're doing relaxation or guided meditations that you'd feel each part of your body. And there's amazing sensations that we can find as we move through our body. Some people feel tingles or magnetic sensations. Some people feel like they're floating. Some people start to feel like they're a giant statue of strength. Some people feel this expansiveness, like their body is as big as the room or the city or the world or the universe. Some people will see warm, lovely colors flowing through their body. Some people will feel electricity moving up and down their spine or swaying through their body. Some people find their sense of time becomes wildly distorted, like a 10-minute meditation felt like 1 minute. Just this epic blast of experience. Or some people feel like a 10-minute meditation went for hours. It was just so rich and powerful that it just seemed to be that each moment was actually many more moments. Some people find in the peace that they take their consciousness into, when they think of kind or good or beautiful things, those things are felt profoundly more beautiful. To think of kindness and to suddenly have waves of greater peace and understanding and patience more than you ever knew before. Or to think of understanding and to suddenly see everybody through the eyes of understanding. One of the most profound experiences I've seen in meditation, it's not as flashy as some that I'll cover afterwards, but still I think is wild, is people will remember some issue they've had or some attitude or feeling that's been plaguing them for a long time, and then they come back to the breath, and that past issue or feeling is just gone, sometimes forever. It's just let go of and transformed. Being able to experience what your consciousness would be like to have let go of all suffering, let go of all habits or mindsets that don't serve you, and be in this space of total freedom and total ease. Just being able to imagine what that's like is pretty special. And then being able to experience it and stay in it and feel many parts of you becoming that. I remember reading a book about spiritual development, and in the book it referenced the music of the spheres. And I didn't know what that was, but the idea of it sounded so compelling to me, that there's some kind of music in our shared subconscious that is profoundly beautiful. And I thought about that concept a lot. When I was younger, I was more susceptible to believing just spiritual stuff I heard, and thinking that perhaps it was true. And a week later, sitting in very deep meditation, suddenly I had these two orbs of pure music swirling in front of me. And it was like the most rich and beautiful classical music I'd ever heard, embedded into electronic high-speed music. And every few beats of the high-speed music was like a whole symphony. And as the two orbs swirled around and just overlapped with each other, the interaction between the two was, each moment of it was more beautiful music than the whole of the music that I've experienced in my life. Just watching this continue to roll and wishing that I was musically talented enough to have written it down or recreated. Reading about mountain meditations, and then practicing each day to imagine being a mountain, feeling how big a mountain feels, feeling how unshakable a mountain is. And after weeks of imagining that, I would actually feel as big as a mountain. And then when I'd think about goodness or kindness or standing up for what's right, feeling that as unshakable as a mountain. And then seeing that go into the way I think and the way I talk, and powerfully transforming who I was in each moment. Similarly, with a lake meditation, spend another month thinking of the surface of the lake like the surface of an untrained mind. But then under the lake is this water that is still and peaceful. And then under that is more and more. And then meditating on feeling the whole depth of the lake. And thinking that my normal mind is like this little slither, but actually training myself to be this massive stillness and peace. Imagine if you had spent half an hour every day for a month just being this epic, peaceful lake, an ocean of equanimity and tranquility. Sitting in breathing meditation and getting my mind into a state of pure stillness, I could watch each little moment of consciousness as things arose, being able to see half a word, half a concept, see how my mind created each moment of this experience. With that level of detail, how I could shape how I felt each day, how I performed in sport, how I created art. But in that deep stillness and awareness, I remember one time noticing happiness. Not happy because of someone great arriving, not happy because of something that I enjoy, just happiness. What's the part of me that feels good when anything else makes me feel good? And then meditating on that and just following that into pure happiness. Meditating on the essence of joy. Being filled with such bliss. Now, for those of you who've just arrived, I've been sharing some of the more profound or beautiful experiences that I've had in meditation. So let's just re-experience that and deepen it, ready for the next part. So I started by mentioning that meditation can bring us peace, comfort. So let's all just take a couple of peaceful, comfortable breaths. And meditation can free your mind so that you're more able to imagine different ways of being. And I described times of experiencing greater compassion, understanding, and love. I described times of finding joy. I described beautiful sensations we can have in our body. Perfect calm, expansiveness. Some of us may have had some time where we practiced appreciation each day, and we noticed after a week of doing that each day, the beauty of the things you appreciated just felt so much richer and more profound. I described a mountain meditation. You could imagine yourself feeling as big as a mountain. Just such perfect confidence that wherever you went, you were perfectly safe, perfectly present. That the goodness you had to share with others, you could share it in a way that was unshakably strong, calm, patient, and loving. The moment that inspired the topic for tonight, someone asked me they asked what was the best state that I had achieved in meditation. And I looked within and I remembered being in the presence of a planet-sized ball of light that just emanated perfect goodness. I was just bathing in streams of love, pure goodness,
I was happy to see you.
pure happiness, just bathed in this profound, bright light of wonder. So welcome, grab a seat. I'm just describing some of the meditative moments that I've had in the hope that as these ideas enter your mind, they're also things that you may experience in meditation. I had another time in that presence of this bright light of pure goodness where these ideas of the world getting better just came at me for hours. I saw communities where we helped each other become more mindful, wonderfully mindful, powerfully transformative. We were helping each other wake up and be completely the creator of ourselves. And then as these communities became more wonderful, we created ways to share that out to others, creating more and more of these communities around the world. Then I saw us setting up actual places, like buildings where people would go for art and film and sport and community activities, all centered around enlightenment. People helping each other be their most expressive, wonderful, brilliant selves in whichever activities they chose to practice. And then I saw these communities being set up in every country of the world and helping to organize the local communities. People working together to help each other's dreams come true. And ultimately, this idea that everybody was working as one humanity to make the best world we possibly can. Solarpunk?
May I ask, what meditation technique were you using before you achieved each of these states? Was the single point focused meditation that led up to these achieving this jhana-like states? I'm assuming you must have achieved at least the namitta, one of the first jhanas, to be able to experience those.
It's a great question. The moment of experiencing pure joy was single-pointed breathing, and definitely in the jhana where everything around me had disappeared and I was just in breath and consciousness. The nice sensations in the body that can happen from single-pointed breathing. It can also happen from guided relaxations. A guided relaxation meditation with suggestions that you will feel magnetic sensations can bring those feelings into your body.
So the music of the spheres and the great planet of positive energy and the vision of future, did these come during guided meditations or during single point focus meditation?
So I was reading the book about the music of the spheres, and during that time of my life, I was doing a lot of single-pointed meditation and compassion meditation. And in a single-pointed meditation, while in the jhanas, is where I had the experience of seeing the music of the spheres.
Awesome.
Being in the presence of that giant ball of pure goodness, I had been going to many different religious events, and many of them talked about some supernatural being, and I didn't see evidence of it, other than that I had had some things that had inspired my life. And I was looking for a community to commit to, but I didn't want to commit to something if I didn't believe in it or if I thought it was false. So I continually asked the universe, whatever's out there that's so wonderful, please let me meet you. I asked that every day for a month. And then I was sitting in a meditation hall, and actually there was someone who believed in angels, and she just told us, just ask with faith for what you want. And then that vision hit me. Admittedly, that was a chapter of my life where I was also doing lots of breathing meditation each day and lots of positive thinking, working on improving myself. The vision for how the world could be and the community of mental empowerment that kept growing, that was actually very early in my journey. I had had a family tragedy, and I had noticed how unskillful my mind was, and I asked the infinite, show me how I'm meant to be, and show me how the world's meant to be, and what you show me, I'm going to do it. And about a week later, I had one vision I haven't shared yet, and then a couple of months later, I had the one of the whole earth transforming. I'd like to share the experience I had 1 week after that dedication. I was sitting in my room, just sitting on the floor. I hadn't been exposed to meditation. I think I was just sitting contemplating life. And then suddenly I saw everything disappear. I was just sitting in a vast void. But in front of me was my mind. And it was made of billions of bubbles. There was a bubble that played hockey. And there was a bubble that wore these kind of clothes. And there was a bubble that laughed. And there was a lot of bubbles that were sad. And there was a bubble that was good at math. And there was a bubble that was bad at writing. And as I looked in and watched all these bubbles, I could see every aspect of myself. But the bubbles were all active. So like where there was the sad bubbles, they were kind of like stuck to each other in a whirlpool. And then maybe there was a little happy bubble here, and it might have like been going along with the sport that I liked. And another happy bubble around math because I liked math. And then there was some bubbles that inside of them they had pictures of, or they had a little movie of me being kind with my friends. And then there was other movies of when things didn't work with my friends and didn't work with my family. And as the bubbles interacted, if a happy bubble bumped into a bubble where people weren't having a good time, they'd kind of merge, and the happy bubble would come out being okay, but then the picture of like how I got along with people got a little bit better. So I was watching these billions of bubbles kind of all transforming and affecting each other. And so there was some parts where there was like confidence and happiness. So there's just like stream of positivity that just got better and better. And then there were these other like dark little whirlpools that just got stuck. And so after watching this for a while, I felt that I had a much deeper understanding of the mind. We are made of all these components, and I'll come to you in a minute, Jink. I'm just going to tell the story. But then suddenly my perception changed, and instead of looking at my mind, it was still the bubbles, but I was looking at the world. There was bubbles where people are kind. There was bubbles where families fight. There was bubbles where there's war. There was happiness. There was sadness. There was celebrative, creative communities. There was sad, wallowing communities. And you know, in this part of the world, there are all these parts of culture. And in this part of the world, there are all these parts of culture. And over time, the cultures evolve, and little by little, some of them interact and evolve and influence each other. And I watched all of humanity as these evolving causes and conditions. And every one of us is also that intricate billion bubbles interacting with the 6 billion other billion bubbles, and we're all just impacting each other. But then my perception snaps and I'm back to looking at my mind. And from behind me I could sense this super bubble. And I look over it and it's full of energy and it's zooming in. But you know, in the movie when something epic's happening and it goes into slow-mo, I felt my mind do that and I was like, whoa. And looking into this super bubble, it was just emanating this like bright golden light, and inside of it was more hope than I had ever known. It was pure love, pure potential. And as I saw it make contact with the mind, every little bubble that it touched just bounced off, full of awesomeness, power and creativity. Every skill became much more skillful. Every bit of kindness became beautiful love. There was the whirlpool of sadness and darkness, and as the super bubble went through it, they just all bounced out with just total potential and freedom. As the bubble went through the happy parts, they became pure bliss and ecstatic love. But there was billions of bubbles, so for quite a long time, I got to watch this super bubble going through and just transforming every part of the mind I was looking at. And I also conceptualized it doing the same thing for society and for the world. Families transforming to be kind and loving, societies being supportive of one another, anger and sadness being transformed into patience and celebration, countries that fight learning how to work together. And I watched the whole of humanity become this beam of pure goodness. And when the whole mind was full, or this whole experience was just full of this brightness, it like expanded out and the entire universe was just this glowing. And then the vision ended and I came to and I was just lying on my back in my room. So somehow my body from sitting had gone to lying in this vision. And I remember just sitting up and thinking, I've got to find out what that super bubble was. And within the next week, this book jumped out at me that showed me what you keep telling yourself and what you keep thinking is who you are. And if you don't do that intentionally, you'll just keep thinking the same things. It'll change slowly over time. And I was like, wow, this is a practical explanation of what I saw in the vision. And the book said, if you choose to transform something or improve something, practice it many times a day so that just takes over. And I realized that this wasn't the super bubble, but this was the ability to then direct consciously where the mind goes instead of just the randomness that happened. And so if I then take the idea of the super bubble, I can then practice enlightenment, love, compassion, joy, pure empowerment in every aspect. And so the book was called The Official Guide to Success by Tom Hopkins. He's a business coach. His books are around business and sales and building customer relationships. But there was this one book that he made that was about happiness and living well and success and just general life advice. And so I took this practice on multiple times a day with the idea of infinite power, imagining myself transforming, being my most wonderful self. Solar Punk, you asked what meditation practice was I doing. All I can say is the devotion in which I asked is how I explain that I had that vision. Whether I put it into my subconscious and my subconscious pieced together all the best of what exists, or whether there's some other explanation, that's where that one came from.
So it sounds like cultivation of the mind before eventual single point focusedness, which allows you to bring it all out.
I hadn't really been doing any cultivating though. It was just this moment of dedication that I wanted to make things better. But the theme of tonight
Well, you
was
just
more...
described all of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
You did a lot of work, though, a lot of mental work building up to that before you did the single point focus meditation, and we're continuing the single point focus.
Well, actually, very soon after discovering that book about self-transformation by practicing, like within a week or two, because of the family tragedy I had, one of my teachers, school teachers, gave me a book about single point of breathing meditation and a mountain meditation and a kindness meditation and a lake meditation. And so for the next year or two, the breathing meditation was a daily practice and alternating between mountain meditation, peace meditation, and compassion meditation was a constant part of my life. I also would always listen to a guided hypnosis as I went to sleep. So guiding my body into deep, profound relaxation, giving me suggestions that my mind's ready to take on awesomeness, and the positive suggestions that I am told will be me. And so each morning I'd wake up feeling like I'd primed my mind to be more enlightened. Now, go forward a year or 3, doing an hour of breathing meditation each day. In that stillness, sometimes I would see this light that was goodness. It wasn't as profound as the few times I mentioned where it was massive and infinite, but it's a moment that I had in meditation sometimes. Other moments that I've had in meditation that I wanted to share is sometimes I would be filled with such a sense of joy that I just had to laugh at anything that wasn't pure goodness. It's like, wow, it's so obvious that if we put our attention fully on ease and happiness, and if that's where our attention is all the time, then the life we have is that. And I just was kind of this joy of freeing myself from other things. Part of me would like to talk more about the beautiful little nuances that we can have as we watch our mind very closely. But before we get there, I feel like there's some other of these kind of fun, profound experiences that I wanted to share. I mentioned earlier compassion meditation. And yes, I had spent half an hour every day for a month feeling more kindness and more love to a wider and wider circle of beings. And then a few months later, I'd do that again. And then a few months later, I'd do that again. And I remember some years into that, I was thinking of a being who had love for all beings and whose whole life mission was to help everyone be that being of love for all beings. And then I remember realizing, actually, that's what I do. And then realizing that I had met other monks and a few other practitioners who were fully in that space. And I had also met activists who hadn't come there through meditation, but had come there from communities that helped people think about it. I knew many people whose life was all about making a world that's full of love and compassion. And I was just moved to tears that this concept that I had thought of as like this spiritual ideal was actually, it's around, and there's many people in there. And I could even say that I was there. And I remember sitting on the side of the road. I was in a suit, just sitting on the side of the road and like crying with joy for, I don't know if it was 5 minutes or half an hour, just at the beauty of what I had just realized. Okay, I'm going to pause for a moment. If anyone has things they want to share, or questions, or perhaps wonderful moments or transformations you've had in meditation. Fluffy puppy?
Yeah, it's kind of strange for me because I had just remembered my time during elementary school in the first grade. And what I tried to do was meditate with some friends, and they actually were kind of into it. And the thing is, I wasn't feeling it because I wasn't really into that deep focus. I was just a kid then. I felt like everything was just light for me. Everything was light. Everything is light when we were kids. Everything just seems fine. Like everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be all right. The bad guys are going to go to jail. Good guys are going to be rewarded. And I think back on that moment, and I'm like, is this what I'm meant to do? Like, wow. I did that before, and I'm doing it now. I was just a kid then, and that just made me feel... I don't know what it made me feel like. It just made me feel like I was... I was meditating as a kid. And it's kind of funny.
It's a beautiful story. Yeah, I wonder what
Thank you.
What influences you had when you were young that made you interested in that. And I guess you're really lucky that
same here.
something gave you this positive idea and you got to share that with your friends, and hopefully that's also created nice moments for them into their life. You mentioned something as a kid, it's just light. In these classes, I try to feel light. I try to make it interesting for the person who's just walked in and never meditated and doesn't know what 10 minutes of stillness, how deep it can feel. So I try to keep it like fun and happy. And having that lightness and shaping light, fun, attention grabbingness in a way that's profound, I think is an important practice for all of us. Yeah, if we could get the whole world to sit for 4 hours and think of peace on earth and everyone loving each other, I think that would transform the whole world. Like if we all just stopped, then when we came out of it, we would then talk about what we'd meditated on, and we just continued to practice it. But are we going to get the whole world to sit and meditate for 4 hours? I don't know how quickly we'll do that. But being able to take goodness and share it in ways that people just hear even without much attention, and then draws more of their attention in, and make it in a way that's catchy and beautiful to draw even more of their attention and feelings in, I think that's beautiful work for the world. So thanks for sharing that your primary school self was sharing that light loveliness with your friends.
You're welcome.
Tazamo, did you have something you wanted to share?
Oh, you beat me to it. Yeah, I went to a park down the road, and it had been part of my life for years. My mom and my dad used to take me and my sister there to play. There's also a library there, and I haven't mentioned this, but COVID took my mom in February of last year. But I don't think it was her that led me there today. I think it was just where I was meant to be. I walked the track there a couple times today, a full mile. Then I sat at the picnic table. Then I just sat there and closed my eyes, and I felt like that was where I was supposed to be, Saw people around me, and after that I opened my eyes, walked around the library, and saw a food pantry drop-off. So I had a couple of packs of granola bars, a couple of packs of crackers. Uh, put those in there, and it just felt good, you know? It's something that I'm gonna start doing with every other paycheck that I get, just to try and give back to the people near me.
Sorry to hear about your
Couldn't
mum,
hear it there.
but the fact that
Yeah.
you have a way to feel close to her is beautiful. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Uh, years
Um,
gone by, the pain's kind of dulled, but thank you.
Yeah, sometimes people forget just how much there is in the world that goes on and how easily it could succumb to that,
I think
I feel.
today at that park, I got reminded of a lot of the good that there is because I saw so many people just flourishing, walking around, parents playing with their kids, and I think that's why I was supposed to be there today.
I love that you said that. That
That
just
makes more
by
sense.
being exposed to that beauty, it really reminded you of it. And you know, I run these sessions about meditation and transforming our mind, and really, if I don't emphasize this next point, it's kind of mute to me, or what's the word? It's the real power of what I'm talking about is Lou, you just mentioned, you know, there's all these things in the world, this pain that we can succumb to. But the power of what I'm talking about is being really careful with our thoughts. Like that thought you just had is a bubble you just put energy into. And there's also a bubble that sees the beauty in the park and knows the peace inside you and knows the epic strength that's bigger than any issues that are happening in the world. And knowing that what you put your attention into will totally shape your experience. There might be moments that those other things arise, but at your core, I hope you remind yourself always, I'm choosing where to focus. And I say that because, you know, there's schools of meditation where they're like, yeah, you know, you're going to hurt, rah, rah, and meditation's this way that, you know, can deal with it better. And that's not what I want to put out there. I want to put out, you are the master of your consciousness. And you can shape your way of thinking and your way of feeling. And if you just keep reminding yourself of that, no matter what happens, it can drive you with passion, it can drive you with strength, it can remind you of the beauty.
I just feel it's important to note that a lot of people actively choose otherwise, not for like their own sake or anything, maybe just like a misguided sense.
Yeah, perhaps they don't know and not just perhaps, certainly many people don't know that they could choose peace, happiness, and love. And I would say if most people fully knew the freedom that was available to them, people would choose the states of mind that bring love and peace and strength and encouragement to everyone around them. Earlier this week, I met with one of you who's been having a hard time, and I was trying to say, hey, let's focus on the skills and practices that are helpful. And so much in our life, we like focus on the problems. And you were telling those stories as I was trying to redirect ourselves to the things that could be helpful. And, you know, I care about you and I want you to be happy. So I was trying to gently guide ourselves back into, hey, what are we going to focus on and how are you going to think about that? But here in this context, I want to be able to say a lot stronger, telling ourselves these stories and getting tangled in these things is really just putting our time into practicing the And I invite you to just ask yourself, what do I want to practice? And to commit to that. Spend some time each day thinking, I'm strong and I choose peace. And no matter what happens with anybody, I know I'm going to create the friendships and the community that I want. And I'm going to put my energy into that and my time into that. And even if things aren't now how I'd want, I'm going to appreciate what's here now. And I'm going to be excited about what I get to create in the future. And if you think about it practically, yes, moving towards what you want is the best way to have more of what you want.
Neochix, does this relate at all to your advice earlier on finding the peace within something that you would normally find bothering?
Absolutely. I mean, that's one example of the freedom of our mind. You can choose. I know you gave the example of yappy dogs while you walk out in nature, and you are trying to have a peaceful day, and a yappy dog is the opposite of that when you look at them as a yappy little dog. But if you see it as a cute little puppy that's singing his own way, you can find some joy or some sweetness in it. And so, yes, that's one example where we can transform how we see things. You can transform how you feel about things. You may continue to say he's a yappy little dog and just look at that with appreciation or peace. The amount of freedom we have to either change how we see it, or change how we feel about it, or change how we relate to it, or change how you think about it, that freedom is so vast. And it can be and should be. You can bring your creativity and your transformation to all of these different parts of your life. Every day there's thousands of moments where you could tweak more happiness. You could take an old habit that doesn't serve you and be like, wow, what would I be like if I had fully transformed to some other habit? What would I be like if I liked eating cantaloupe? All those fruit salads I missed out on are now going to be delicious. What would I be like if, no matter how people treat me, I just focus on the people who treat me great, so I get more and more of the friendships I love? What would life be like if I realized how hard it was to be great and kind to people all the time? People misread me. So what about if I'm just really patient and understanding towards other people too? What would life be like if I laughed for 3 hours a day? What would life be like if every person that I saw, I just wished for them to be blissful enlightenment, and I walked around just filled with this love as an ambassador for love? You know, there's so much scope in every moment to bring your creativity and to choose where your attention is. Hey Solid Punk, I love that you asked the question about what did I practice to get there, and then this last question of being able to transform our mind. You know, I can talk about profound experiences in meditation, feeling like I was 100-story statue of the Buddha, or feeling that I am the size of the universe, or having electricity just swaying through my body that feels like lightning. But I actually think it's more beautiful, more powerful, that you're walking in the forest now has cute little puppies instead of yappy little dogs, or that I get to appreciate every fruit salad each time, or when I spend time with people, I get to just sit back and enjoy myself. I think that's so much more beautiful and more profound. So I don't know if everybody's imagination is going to have them see the infinite goodness being But I do know that everyone can practice peace and can practice understanding to others and can choose how they're going to focus and think in each moment.
I hope this isn't taken the wrong way, but I thought I'd just elaborate on the little yappy puppies, the dogs that I was dealing with. When it was, yapping and screeching as I was walking past it, I looked down and taking your advice, I was trying to interpret your advice on that. And I looked for the inner peace in the first noble truth of suffering, sort of like a sublime peace based on the suffering that animal and the world was going through, and that made me feel really good. Does that make any sense?
Totally.
Like in peace,
As I was saying before, the way we transform things is vast, and if that's the way you transformed it, so if I was to
Yeah, I
reiterate
agree
it,
too.
you
Like,
said
I've
something.
seen some things as interpreted as peaceful, whereas a lot of people are just like, whoa.
like
You know
tragic
what I mean?
beauty, sort of Shakespearean.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
mean. Like, I guess if we all had like an
Wow.
in-touchness with like just the wide variety of different emotions and like a better command of them.
These are like Arahant emotions, Neojex, like what you were describing to, what we're describing here. It's sort of like how Arahants can either laugh at really gory or disturbing, things, or they can find beauty in them
Could you
because
please
they're seeing from a
define?
completely different mind.
Could you tell people what an Arahant is for those people who haven't spent time around
Uh,
those lineages of Buddhism?
yes, Buddhists believe that Arahants are enlightened beings. Basically, the Buddha himself was an Arahant, and the 1,000 plus monks who came after him, who he taught the same techniques to, who also became enlightened, they all became Arahants as well. The only difference is the Buddha was the first Arahant to rediscover the Four Noble Truths and teach them again, but they were all Arahants. And the Buddhists believe Arahants not only have this enlightenment, but they can see all their past lives, and they have like superpowers like X-Men. And I won't go into all that stuff, but they fully understand the suffering of the world and how to break that cycle and how to help people.
So you were talking about those wonderful emotions, the bliss and the joy and the peace. As I say those words, they don't even come close to the beautiful feelings that you can cultivate when you're letting yourself be free to flow into those beautiful feelings. The feelings that I like to spend my time in are, if here's the spectrum of most people's feelings, and your average person has a bit of downtime and a bit of happy time and a bit of love, maybe a bit of extra sadness and like in between. And then some people have like a lot more of the down sadness, or some people have a lot more
Some people have a really
happiness.
good music collection.
Well, actually, I like to spend my time over here, and from my understanding is that a lot of the less good feelings, and we could debate what's good or less good. Wait, could the live stream see? Yeah, I was over here. I like to actually shift my bit of the spectrum to over here. And a lot of the less good feelings are because we are focusing on, like, perhaps you've been practicing sadness. Maybe not intentionally, but you've been doing it for a long time. Or maybe...
Yeah, just like a bad frame of thought overall that's been constructed.
Yeah, I don't
through
necessarily want to say
negative
bad, because while you're in it, like,
repentance.
that's just how you are. But,
well, I guess it is technically negative in its essence, if you want to get yin and yang about it.
Yeah, I mean, we can debate what's good or
We could
not.
use the term melancholy.
Yeah, but I
Oh,
mean,
I
Yeah.
love that word.
I would love a world where we were spending time in the most, it doesn't have to be all just bliss. There could be inspiration and power and profound peace. Like the variety of emotions in the like profound positive is it's even bigger than what I see most people having. But I would love it if we all were spending time there all the time. And from what I've seen in myself, when I'm actively spending all or most of my time there, the impact I have on everyone around me is is just profoundly better if I spend time in not such good places. Um, my impact on others is not as good. Um, so yeah, I guess I want to reiterate. We were mentioning different kinds of meditation experiences. I mentioned happiness and then going into more bliss. One other thing that I love to often do is to let myself fly into good feelings. So we've all done a bit of relaxation meditation, and you've seen that you can breathe more and go even deeper into peace. And some of you may have found you're like, wow, the peace is so good, and then you go even deeper, and then the better you feel, the deeper you go. Some of you may have found something similar with kindness meditation. It might be easy for some of you to find some kindness for your closest family or friends. For some of us, some days that can be hard. But then once you kind of find a bit of it, you're like, oh, that does feel good. Ah, yeah. And then that other friend, that makes me happy. And that other friend makes me happy. And then once you like really get that feeling like, hey, I can dive into this, you kind of let yourself fly into it. Whoa, what's it like to just feel even greater love to everybody? What's it like to just take this super love and be totally understanding towards what people are going through? Like just flying into the better feelings. So I've talked about peace and love, and you can do the same thing with happiness. What's it like to be 10 times happier, a million times happier? What would it be like if every atom in the universe was laughing as hard as it could and I was feeling all of it? Like you can explore and create these profound states, but it's not just love, happiness, peace. You can then go and like create feelings we don't have words for. The kind of drive, the kind of resolve, the kind of goodness. I could go on and just say positive words.
Maybe we need words for those.
I truly think we should be developing those words. Solarpunk, you've read a lot of enlightened literature. Maybe you do have words for some of these states, but there are more states than we have words for. And when we put out these different words and we meditate in ways that are free, we can combine them and amplify them and open up to new things as well.
I think
Yeah, the
it's
Sublime
interesting
States.
oh, sorry.
I was just commenting on they're often called the Sublime States, and they do seem to really transcend. Because even for me, back in 2009, I lost my ability, due to something that happened in 2009, I've lost my ability to feel happiness. I don't even know what that's like anymore. It's too alien to me. But I can feel contentment and I can feel peace, and I really enjoy that. And I can also feel that sublime peace that I felt when I mixed some of your technique neogex at the on the trail over here and achieved that state. So there's definitely something divine about that. Even if I can't
Maybe
feel
your
happiness, I can.
fundamental definition changed for happiness, and now you have to find it again since you already completed the first level.
Well, it is frustrating for me because I've also felt like I lack appreciation for all the little things as well as the really big things in my life, the things that worked out for me, worked out really well for me. And I feel bad that I can't show more appreciation to the people in my life and for the good things, the blessings in my life. But it's part of, I don't know if it's part of the chronic fatigue or what have you, but like I say, I have to seek these things from other angles. And even if I can't tap into happiness anymore, assuming I even understand that, at least I can experience
Yeah.
contentment every time I meditate.
Solarpunk, I am going to put this out there, and I hope that you try it. So, gratitude had never been part of my culture. And when I first started meeting people who did gratitude exercises or talked about gratitude, I also was like, hey, I don't really relate to that. And then I tried, just saying, okay, I'm grateful that I learned meditation. I'm grateful that I have these people that talk to me. It's better that I have them than if I didn't. And as I kept practicing it, I had more of it. It also got to the point where I was like, oh, actually, I guess in some way I was grateful. I just didn't really ever label it as such. And I also did the same thing with happiness. When I first learned about brain programming, I had been bullied and alone and angry and sad for so long. I didn't, even though conceptually I was like, well, I could program anything, I didn't instantly think, okay, I'm going to be infinite happiness. For the first month, my meditation each day was just, I feel really okay. And after, weeks of doing that and being like, wow, I do feel really okay, I then started the affirmation of, I feel happy. And, if I would say that for minutes, the most I'd get is like a little millimeter of a smile. Just the idea of happiness and meditating on it. But then bit by bit, my brain generated it and learned how to do it. And I noticed you said a few times you can't feel happiness anymore. So I'm not sure if it was something physiological, but if it was psychological and an experience, I'd like to put it out there that you telling yourself that is shaping the possibilities that you give yourself. And I would invite you to try to, if you see yourself think that again, maybe just say, hey, what the heck, I can feel happiness. It might take a while, but I'm just going to say I can. And any little glimpse you get of it, just be like, oh yeah, there was a tiny little bit of happiness there. And plant that seed.
Oh, and I can add to that, actually.
Please.
Yeah, because I have had these brief moments where I get flashbacks of childhood or just the past, and where I was experiencing happiness. So for a brief moment, I go, whoa, what was that? That was really amazing. I felt that. For a brief moment, I felt that. And of course, I get a
noticed
little
you said that
frustrated
the
because
other day, actually. At least for the first time.
well, that's the thing. So I know there's that part of me, and so I don't know if it's due to the blood blockage or whatever. But yeah, I really appreciate the advice on that. It just so I can see the parts of me can see and experience occasionally what that was like, but it's sort of like a memory.
And let's just say there is a blood
It's
blockage.
cool that it's like a flashback.
And the memory and the emotions are in a brain that's a part of your brain that's separate from where your consciousness is most of the time. And every now and then there's a memory pathway that connects to it. Maybe that's how it works. Let's just say that's how it is. It's actually separated. I would put it to you that if you say to yourself, I have happiness and I'm happy, and you practice a little smile, you'll actually start growing neurons past the blood blockage, and they'll find a way, and they'll send a whole mesh network out and build their way towards there and be able to reconnect it. That's my understanding.
That makes sense to me.
The whole
the brain
flying
works.
into each state.
Well,
yeah, and then once
building
you
new
actually
neurons
get,
actually is definitely a thing.
and as Lei just reminded us, once you're like, oh wow, here it is, then there might be a part of you that just celebrates, like, yeah, and then you get to dive into it even more.
I was reading an article on like ADHD and how it relates to just like, oh, this is a while ago that I wanted to say this, but what you were talking about flying into states where you a lot of the time just want to let go of your attempt to control the hyper focusing. And if you just let yourself hyper focus as your body just does, and then you tackle each, like if you're focused too much on some paperwork that you need to do tomorrow, maybe you should just get up for a couple hours and attempt to work on it for a bit until you run out of energy, you know? And then doing things like that, eventually that's kind of like the alternative medicine that I feel things like this provide.
I mentioned to Solarpunk saying many times I can't feel happiness is perhaps shaping the thoughts or possibilities that he considers for himself. And I've seen you mention ADHD a number of times. And there's definitely been many cases of people who have, I think it's the P300 is a spike 300 milliseconds after we could have attention. And people who have less attention have less of this spike. And there's been many people who've trained themselves to grow that spike. Either through biofeedback, like with EEG, that shows when that spike should happen and rewards you every time the spike's a bit bigger. But I've also met some people who, through thinking of themselves as developing concentration and developing inner peace, and every day practicing that as who they are, that they've also
Maybe we could talk
their
more, because I
mind.
have an idea of just pulling this up on an MP3 and then just listening to it, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would thoroughly recommend while you're sleeping that you've got some suggestions that my mind is peace and my mind goes at a pace that feels great and I love it. And just have that go through your mind for 8 hours every night. Totally would recommend that.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I was using affirmations at least once a day for a few months to try to improve happiness and appreciation, but I wasn't able to develop anything, so it just became frustrating and I stopped. I think I need to find I just need to find a technique that works. Something new I haven't thought of yet.
Well, I'd recommend 3 or 4 times a day. For some reason, I found that amount makes it grow. And also the technique in which you do affirmations. If you're just sitting there saying, I'm happy, but on the inside you're thinking, no, I can't be happy, then the affirmation's kind of pointless. So you have to practice with your whole being. So I can have happiness. You put a little smile on your face and you just try to remember the little glimpse of it. Or you just imagine what it's like to be Fluffy Puppy and giggle all the time. And you just spend a minute just imagining her. And
Okay, I'll
the
do that
idea is
instead.
you want to be you want to be practicing the thing. So just saying words, maybe the words might get you imagining it and feeling it and practicing it, but maybe not. So the secret is to actually practice it. And like I said, when I first learned this, I didn't know how to practice happiness. I also didn't know how to practice kindness. But I thought, oh, I can start with my mum. And I just grew that. And then I was able to grow it to others. But yeah, I didn't know how to start practicing happiness. So I practiced feeling really okay. And then maybe you could practice sublime peace and just notice the little bit of happiness in it. And you're like, oh, actually, there's a bit more happiness in that. So let yourself, be the brain intronaut, the astronaut of your own mind. Like explore creatively practicing what you want to be. Just saying words at it, Your subconscious might practice and might do some stuff, but it might not. It's what you actively practice that really has the power. Jax, did you have something you wanted
Well,
to
they
say?
say neurons that.
Wait, Solarpunk, after you.
I was just saying neurons that fire together wire together. So if I use peace as a sublime peace as a jumping off point, it makes sense. Maybe I could build some new neuron pathways into the realm of happiness. I mean, a new realm of happiness, since the old realm might have closed off with the blood flow blockages on the sides of my brain.
Yeah. And you said those memories are still there. There's glimpses of them. And you said what
Well,
fires
occasionally
together.
I can't
Can't do it
access
regularly.
them. The memories of happiness, yeah, they randomly come up, but I can't do it willingly.
Now you said what fires together wires together. We have also
Yes.
found that when you're in a certain state, it can change your memories. So, if you study to a certain kind of music, listening to that music will remind you of it. Or if you are practicing certain things from Sublime Peace, whenever you step into Sublime Peace, that will be more accessible to you. And so you may find that when you have cultivated some happiness and you're in the happiness, you may have more access to those memories. Some of you may relate that when you're feeling down, it's hard to remember what it's like to feel good, because our brain has this tendency to kind of stay in the same vibe that it's in. And so doing things to be able to practice different vibes and to remind yourself, hey, I'm thinking in this current path, let me step out of that and practice a different path. It's a superpower that takes some practice, but it's super, super duper worth it. Jax?
I'm sorry. I didn't really mean to interrupt, and
Are
I
you
don't want
stretching?
anybody to think, no. I'm just, I don't want anybody to think that I'm being a jerk or anything, just leaving randomly on my first time. My whole entire house is shaking because of a storm, and I also have to get off to go to sleep for school.
Dude, go save the house.
So I have to go.
Thanks for being here.
Good
Hope
luck,
to
man.
have you
I'll
again.
see you.
I need to apologize,
Yeah.
dude. Just do what you gotta do. We
Yeah,
understand.
we're really happy
Uh,
you're here.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for coming.
Have a nice rest of your
Take
day.
care of yourself.
I hope you sleep really well. Now, I want to make a point. A while ago, I was talking about some of the similar topics to tonight, like cultivating happiness and transforming things. And I describe it in a way like, hey, it's easy and it's awesome. And I want to do two things. Yes, I want to inspire one part of you that imagines it being easy. So while you're imagining it, you're creating beautiful, great feelings. But I know some of us struggle with it. And then it's like hard, where our brains are stuck in this other way. And so I don't want to just say it's effortless. Yes, sometimes there are moments that we're transformed. Sometimes in meditation, we dive into a peace or we find a new happiness that stays with us. But I mentioned before, I think we should be practicing what we want 3 or 4 times a day and doing long breathing meditations every day. And I encourage you to imagine that as it's like beautiful. It's like dancing in your mind. It's like brushing your teeth. It's a way of being that just makes your life more beautiful. So yeah, when I talk about transformations, I really want you thinking growing new pathways in your brain. And yeah, imagine that's fun. Imagine it's beautiful. Imagine it's easy. You don't want to be practicing that it's hard work. That's not the practice you want to do. You want to be practicing, hey, I'm transforming and I love it and it's something I do all the time and it's great. Solar
Neo, can
Punk,
I ask?
please.
How long were each of your sessions where you were developing happiness? When you did 4 a day, how long were each of them?
I tend to do 1 or 2 minutes on each idea. So if I'm telling myself I feel okay, I spend a minute or two on that. And then I tell myself that I'm good at soccer. And so I spend a minute or two imagining being good at that. And then if I tell myself that I feel comfortable around groups of people, spend a minute or two on that. And I'd have between like 3 and 10 things I'd be changing. So that would be between 3 and 20 minutes that I'd spend rehearsing those things. But every couple of weeks, I'd take one of them and spend 5 or 10 minutes on it and like make that awesome. Like practice being great at it. It's like studying for a test. You go and you learn all the stuff and then you can revise really quickly. So you make this like brain program more powerful and more rich and more vivid, and then each day or each session you can spend a minute or two on it. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. Actually, Neo, if I can add something slightly almost off topic, but totally relating to you. I'm thinking about all your successes that you've had so far, and how you're able to will yourself into these just amazing states and focus. Have you heard of a book called Self-Hypnosis: Its Use in Daily Teachings by M. Lacron by any chance?
I'm unsure. I've read a number of self-hypnosis books and not that one. And I've talked to lots of people about different self-hypnosis books.
I was going to say on that subject, my dad's best friend, Poke Runyon, used this book, M. Lacron's book, Self-Hypnosis: Its Uses. And even though right in the beginning it says don't use this technique to hypnotize yourself to make pain go away. If you're experiencing pain in your guts, it might be something your doctor needs to look at. Well, he did this. He hypnotized himself to make some strange pain go away that he was feeling. And then a year later, sure enough, it found out that his like gallbladder or something was just going supernova in there, and it had to be like taken out or dealt with. So thankfully the doctor got to it in time. But he was perfectly successful at hypnotizing himself to do that. So I was thinking, wow, what would happen if you used that exact book and you hypnotized yourself to master single point focus meditation? Then you could achieve all 9 jhana states and maybe just become an enlightened Arahant. I think you could do it.
That is how I approach meditation, to envisage that you are perfecting it. And I feel that the states that I reach and the speed in which I learned how to do that is profoundly good. And I think it's because of taking that approach of practicing being awesome at it. Yes, I had this profound vision that our mind can be wildly changed. So then while I go to think of change, I'm inspired by that epic vision. And I hope every one of you continues to also carry that, this idea of epic superpower enlightened mind. Bring that into the way you imagine and into the way you think. And when you go to think about yourself, practice who you want to be. Let go of the old habits. Just keep thinking, where I put my attention is what I become. I am free and I choose to practice what I want. In how you meditate, in how you care, in how you giggle, in how you like healthy food, in how you deal with relationships, in the way you play sport, in the way you remember facts, in the way you do math, and everything. Bring you choosing who you want to be to every part of you. And if you notice you're saying to yourself, oh, I'm like this, or things happen, stop for a moment. Hey, well, I'm going to give myself a chance at something else. I am a peaceful mind. I am perfect tranquility. I see things in a way that makes things easy and clear. I learn states of mind from people where their life or their way of being seems more blissful, more easeful, easier.
Neo, I thought I might also add, I was trying to use your technique out on the freeways today as I was driving. I was thinking, well, I really need to find negative things so I can find the peace in them. And, what's the next negative thing that's going to happen? and so sure enough, there are plenty of, half of the drivers seem to be really terrible on the freeway. There are people who suddenly drive 10 or 20 miles per hour slower than everybody else, like right in like intersections, like dangerous areas. And I'm thinking, wow, look how terrible this person is. Oh, and then I think, I need to find the peace in this, the peace in this driver. And I was able to find equanimity, but I wasn't able to achieve the sublime peace. Now, maybe it's because also I had a lot of things I was focusing on, multiple lanes merging and stuff. That could be part of it.
Yeah,
but
please make sure you focus on
I'm-
driving well.
yeah. So maybe it's not the ideal area, but I'm still trying to find a way to somehow turn bad drivers into like cosmic events.
If you are able to crank up the pace in one driving session, and then if 90% of your attention's on driving well, and you've got this little bit that's making peace on your attitude to everything, I think if you do it again the next time you drive, the peace will be better. And then you do it again the next time, the peace will be better. And then you'll notice that it's better, and you'll be like, oh yeah.
That's what I'm hoping
think
for.
with
Yeah.
practice, yeah, just keep going.
All right. Well, that's what I need to do then. Thanks. I was hoping I could get your input on that.
Creek, have you got something you'd like to add?
No. I love you.
I love you too.
Creek just improved the overall love of the room and the planet by doing that. The same way Chernobyl increased the overall radiation of the world. It's like Creek is just able to increase the overall love of the world.
Let's
That's
all
all
just
it is.
radiate some love for a moment. Ah!
Hey, I like it.
Love everywhere.
And Solarpunk, I think that's a really good point. Each time we say something nice, it really does, change the room. Sometimes a little, sometimes a lot. I mean, look, we're now all swimming in love hearts. It was probably the combination of his thing and your thing that took us there. But yeah, the more you put out positivity and awareness and empowerment, the more that creates that. And likewise, why we should be very careful with thoughts that might be a little confusing or hard, because they can impact you and others too. And that's why it's so precious to be careful to swim in happiness and love and empowerment and peace. Solarpunk, you mentioned, what about hypnotizing yourself so that this pain would go away, and then this person's body was actually sick and they had told their brain not to experience it anymore.
Mhm.
That's a really important point. Whether we're
Breaking
using
the
brain
first rule of the book even told him.
Well, regardless of the book, I want to widen that a little bit, in that, our minds are so malleable that we can ignore things that are important to pay attention to. So perhaps he could have hypnotized himself that the sensations in his body, they don't hurt, but he's still aware of them. And so then as it got more intense, he's like, actually, no, there's something intense there. I need a doctor to look at. And whether you're mindfully transforming yourself or whether you're just unconsciously letting different thoughts happen, there can be unskillful thoughts that we can practice. maybe someone's so at peace with everything that they go and spend 100 years in a cave. Or maybe they believe that, the next life's what matters. And so they just waste this life away. Or maybe there is not another life. Maybe something I did. I'm so okay, everything's looking after me. I can go and spend all my time spreading happiness and love and everything will be fine. And then I get to my late 30s and I don't have health insurance and my body's not doing so well and I haven't created the global transformation movement that everyone's in. I've impacted however many people, but I let some spiritual ideas of, hey, everything's fine, take over, rather than being really practical. It's similar to not feeling the pain of the gallstone. I was like, hey, I'm okay with everything. And it's true, I was blissful. I was happy sleeping in a park if I could get up in the morning and make the homeless people happy. But then 5 years later, I was like, oh, actually, I'm homeless too. Every one of us, I'm sure if we look carefully, have some attitudes that serve us and some that do not. And so, as well as being happy and being better at art, I think we should also be careful. What are my attitudes to life? And what are my attitudes to success? And what are my attitudes to community and to my work? And try to, in Buddhism, there's the Eightfold Path to have rightness in different areas of your life. Rightness in your work, and rightness in your speech, and rightness in your words, and rightness in your intention, and rightness in your meditation. Try to bring, practice, and cultivate helpful attitudes to every aspect of your life. And, I could have said 10 years ago, hey, all the religions say to trust the universe like the birds trust and to be in poverty, and that's the most righteous thing to do. And I could have said that was right. I'm being the best being that I could. But I'll come back to you in a second, Solarpunk. But I think we should also check in and look at ourselves through other lenses. If I had spent some time acknowledging, well, there's lots of people who look at the material world and it's important to have established something. Or, hey, people don't want to listen to a dude with a giant beard who has obviously just been out in nature a lot. They want someone who looks slick. And maybe I could reach more people if I did that. If I had been able to spend time looking through those different lenses, I might have been able to craft a more powerful state of mind, which I try to do now. But I had so deeply gone down the spiritual path that it was harder for me to really give those other paths the attention that I deserved. And I just want you all to encourage all of you to try and be as wholesome and well-rounded and awesome as you can be. You can laugh ecstatically all day long. You could definitely do that. If you practice that for a few weeks, you'll be feeling laughter all the time. But if someone's just had a tragedy, you have to be a very skillful laugher to laugh in a way that they feel loved and cared for. So, we use skillful wisdom to choose what we want to practice and how it's going to improve our life in each moment. And I encourage each one of you to actively meditate on being really wise. Imagine yourself as a well-rounded, wise being, this being your best self from many different perspectives. I could say the ultimate goal is to enlighten the world and make a movement where everybody's helping each other to be more enlightened. And I'd love it if you include that in how you think of yourself being your best. But you also have amazing goals and dreams. So I want you to imagine your best self that will achieve your most wonderful things and will enjoy the journey and will be happiness and will bring love and comfort and enlightenment to others. Comrade, did you have your hand up?
No. Thank you though. I was drinking some tea.
I love the interaction between the real world and VR and the quirky little moments like that. Someone was
I have a
some
question.
please.
What kind of tea is it?
It's just matcha. Yeah, I was feeling sleepy earlier, and then I had to get up and take a bathroom break and make some tea. Now
I gotcha.
I'm also drinking tea.
Nice.
Everybody, I just checked the time and I think it's time to begin our meditation. We covered a lot of topics today, starting with some of the profound and wild experiences we can have in meditation, but then bringing it back to the actual practice of making ourselves more enlightened and living more wonderfully. I would love to hear if anyone has any topics or themes they would like me to emphasize in the meditation. And in general, the meditation is going to be inspired by what we spoke about today. But I'm just going to let my creativity take it wherever it goes. Just like doing an artwork, you start
Seeing
drawing
and
something.
imagining your best self.
Mm-hmm.
Just seeing and imagining your best self. I think that's always a great theme.
I was thinking earlier, I mentioned this experience I had where there was that being of all the wisdom of the universe, infinite goodness, just swimming in it. I think I'm going to let us imagine that as part of this meditation. Is there any other request? Okay, so I invite everybody to close their eyes and take a deep breath. Just expand the lungs. Do it enough you maybe feel your spine expand a little. Letting the body relax. If you're feeling very alert, you could imagine the body becoming very calm. But if your body was maybe already tired, you could just take some strong breaths and imagine your body feeling at peace, but your mind feeling really alert, really present, and really clear. And you can remember that there are amazing things that happen to people in meditation. There are beautiful sensations we feel through our body. There's wonderful feelings of peace and care and confidence. Some people see visions, beautiful images, daydreams that transform them. With just a little bit of excitement, you just breathe for a few moments as you observe your own mind, excited about what you will practice with a mind over the years to come. Now there's a force, there's a power within you that is pure goodness, that has it written on your heart how the world is meant to be, that is perfect love, that is perfect wisdom. So I invite you to imagine that you're sitting there with that awesome version of you. It's not really another version of you, it's your real self, it's the you inside of you. But as you look at this you, your eyes are glowing, your presence is magnificent. Maybe your imagination is great and you already see that other you sitting there glowing this golden light of amazing brilliance. Or maybe you could remember, what is it like to look in the mirror and see yourself? So you just imagine sitting there looking at you. And as you look into you, you see your enlightened self. The you that is deep peace. The you that chooses what to think, what to focus on. The you that is kind and confident and powerful. The you that can respond with calm in every situation. And as you look into your eyes, you see this ideal version of you, and see how they look at you with love, how much they care about you, how much they love you, how much they wish for you to feel comfort and happiness and peace. You imagine reaching out and holding their hand, and as your hands connect, you feel the power and the strength just flowing up your arm. Their presence, their goodness, the love and guidance they wish for you. You could imagine if from now on, every moment of your mind, you directed it. You can remember that vision that I shared, seeing all the bubbles of the mind. We take a deep breath just to settle more into the meditation. As you look within And imagine every part of you as a bubble. As a bubble of happiness, bubble of love, bubble of confidence. And each bubble that comes to mind, imagine that infinite possibility. Some bubbles definitely need to be transformed. If there's a dark whirlpool of many bubbles, imagine that infinite bubble of light just going through and just so much energy that the whole whirlpool is activated and transformed. And for those of you who just joined, we're imagining every part of you being confident, being strong, being powerful. We're just letting ourselves practice your best self. Everybody take a strong, deep breath as we meditate more. Whatever you're feeling or
I have a
thinking,
question.
can we ask after the meditation, please, Jeremy? So you imagine everybody here concentrating so much that their whole self is transforming. Every good feeling that they have, they're practicing it in a way that they feel it, in a way that transforms them forever. Imagine concentrating so beautifully and powerfully that any good idea you have, you are confidence, you are peace, you are happiness, your giggles, your ease, your comfort.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you imagine this ideal version of you, imagine if your best self was to guide this meditation for you. So for the next couple of minutes, I'll be quiet and just breathe. And you imagine your best self guiding this meditation for you. If you're new to meditation, be amazed by your mind learning how to guide it. And if you've meditated before, remember the most profound, immersed feelings you ever had, and go 100 times deeper and more powerfully, and let your wisest self guide each moment.
Hello.
And then let yourself remember the topics from tonight.
Honestly, Dad!
Everything we discussed, every idea that was helpful for you. internalize it, make it better. Imagine you've mastered it. Imagine how you'll keep thinking about it, how you'll share it with others.
What's up, my guy?
With a little bit of joy, imagine that every moment can bring you peace. Every moment reminds you how to use your mind. Appreciating every chance you get to be more wise, to be more aware. And then we're about to finish the meditation, so just take a minute to appreciate the good feelings that you've made. To remember and feel whatever you'd like to feel. And then how would you want to come out of the meditation? Maybe gently and slowly as you watch your consciousness transform. Maybe you want to smile and stretch. Maybe you want to give yourself a hug. Just come out of the meditation whichever way you like. And then as you notice your mind being back to waking mind, just also take a moment to remind yourself of the best moments from today's meditation. Jeremy, you had a question? Okay.
No.
Ah.
I'll just stretching. Bye.
How was the meditation, everybody?
Very good.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Fox.
I was I
Relaxing
must
and
say I was
enlightening.
really knee deep in my mind. Everything was blank. I could feel myself being enlightened. Really.
It was very calming.
Imagine if everyone in the world spent half an hour in that feeling each day. Tasmo, what did you say?
Relaxing and enlightening.
Awesome.
I was looking for the peace within certain events, but then I started chuckling. I began wondering, wait a minute, if I'm laughing, does that ruin the effect of the sublime peace?
It sounds to
I was
me like you're
unsure
happy.
about that part. Well, it is a positive emotion.
Hearing
when you
that
can
makes
laugh,
me
so
happy,
I
Solar Punk.
take the good from that.
Yeah.
All right, then maybe it worked.
And yeah, there's the sublime, deep, profound feelings we can go into. Fox, could you help your friends, please? Did they come with you?
What?
Oh, I thought Jeremy came with you. Oh, it's alright, he's going to sit down now. Yeah, so as I was saying, there are these deep, amazing feelings we can go into, and...
What the heck is this? What's this? What the heck is this?
Hey
What's
guys,
this?
we're doing a class
What's
at the moment.
this?
Jeremy, I'm going to ask you to join in, or I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
The heck? Stop.
What
is that? What is that?
One
I'm
thing I
still-
love to think about is imagine a world where everyone was like deeply respectful. I mean, the world, you can see there's so many times where people don't understand one another, or, you know, someone could be saying something that's profoundly helpful, but then some random thing on our phone catches our attention instead. So creating a world where everybody cherishes goodness is something I'm really excited about, and I feel like every one of you, we're on a team that's doing that together, helping make that happen. Solarpunk, some of my most sublime feelings have been in laughter meditations. Feeling twice as happy, then twice as happy, then 10 times as happy, then imagining the whole world meditating on happiness. The profound, enlightening feelings don't have to just be peace, comfort, and bliss. They can be ecstatic joy. So I'm glad you were laughing.
Well, maybe I can count that as a success then. At least if I laugh.
I'm
If I can't achieve sublime peace, at least I can laugh.
I'm counting
Yeah.
it as a success. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to share or ask?
Looks like Fox has a question.
Fox?
It's not really a question. I just wanted to say that this is really like relieving and calming, and I'm happy that they have these because when there are like stressful or times that aren't good, when I meditate, it just helps. So I'm really happy that they have meditation, and that's something I can go to.
You'll find it very useful the older you get.
Yeah.
Fox, anytime you want to like invite some friends and come here and guide meditations with your friends, or anytime anyone in the community wants to come in, I think the more often we spend here, the more the community helps one another, the better.
Yeah.
And you might notice I'm very careful to try and make every thought helpful. If someone says a belief system or says their belief that I think hurts them, I try to be careful that we make every thought helpful. And I've been practicing that a long time, so we won't all master that. You might guide meditations and you might say something that's not so helpful, but as a community we can try and help each other to like shape our minds and create things in a way that's more enlightening for each other. I say that because I've been to many different meditation schools, and I see a lot of times they say things that certainly aren't something you would choose if you're choosing the most enlightened mind. So I know we'll all be coming in with different experiences, and so if we want to guide meditations for each other, let's also be open to hearing from each other. How do we refine it and make it more beautiful and more pointed completely at enlightenment? Likewise, if you ever see me say something you think, hey, I can see how that would not be helpful, or there's a limiting belief you just said, please point it out. I want every word I say to be maximally helpful and enlightening for as many people as possible. So Fox, I'm glad you found us. Your presence and the nice things you share is always great and appreciated. So please keep coming.
Yeah.
Please keep sharing your happiness and your kindness. All right. I feel like
Does Shanti have a question?
Yeah, Shanti? Oh, let me just turn up the volume. Can you try again, Shanti? I can't hear you.
Yeah, if you're speaking,
I'll
you're
let you
on
try
mute.
and fix your microphone. And wait, I see blocked next to Shanti's name. I don't know how to fix that.
Yes,
Oh, that's the avatar.
settings.
Shanti, I'm going to let you
Yeah.
try and fix your microphone somehow, and we can come back to you. Does anyone else have something they'd like to share from today's session, or a question, or what was people's favorite moments from the presentation that I gave? Lanek?
Hearing about your jhana states.
Oh, for people who don't know that word, jhana, that technically means when you're immersed in breathing meditation, where you're completely in pure consciousness. But people can also use it for other amazing meditations. Lanek?
And Buddhists also believe that the jhana states allow you to tap into new parts of your mind and abilities at the later stages as well.
Absolutely.
But did Larnick have a question?
No, not a question, but what I really appreciated about today's session is that even though some of the ideas that you were talking about or the experience you had felt far from what I can achieve at the moment, it is helpful to know that it's out there, it's available, and it enlarged the range of possibility of experiences. So that's
You're cutting out.
Yeah, your microphone's
Yeah,
a little...
Larnick, you cut out a bit.
going
Can you say that
robot
last part
mode.
again?
Oh.
That sounds clear
Sorry
again.
about that.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
So I
Okay,
heard
I
you
was just saying that was nice to have, to hear about a lot of different experiences, even though they feel out of the possibility for right now. It's still helpful to hear that it's a possibility and to feel hopeful.
I invite you to be open that maybe some of them may happen quickly. Like some of the experiences I described just hit me. It wasn't that I'd practiced a lot. Maybe you have a dream that's just wild. And maybe you'll slip into a meditation state that's freeing. It's important when we practice to be open and peaceful. Fox?
I have a question.
Please.
So I've asked this before, but they said the dates, but they were wrong. What days of the week do you meditate?
So in here we have Monday. We have 2 sessions on Monday. I guess how do I tell you the times without knowing which part of the world you're in? Well, anyway, whatever the time is for you now, that's this one's we're about to finish. So this one starts 2 hours before now. And the other one on Monday starts many hours before that. Wednesdays, Creek has a session that starts 1 hour after our Monday session. And Creek also runs a session on Saturdays. I can just tell you in the San Francisco time, like Pacific time, and then you can work it out. So the Mondays, it starts at 10, and then my session starts at 5. And then Wednesdays is at 6, and Saturdays is at 11:30. Creek, was that correct?
Yeah, that's right for you.
Yeah. We have a group Discord, and the link outside is correct. So you can join the Discord, and they announce the sessions. And actually, the board outside the window is right for Mondays and Wednesdays, but the Friday one has moved to Saturday. So you can trust the Friday and the Wednesday one. Thanks for asking. And like I said, if you feel like coming in and just seeing who's here or meditating anytime, that's great. And if you join the Discord, people often say, hey, we're just going to do a spontaneous meditation. So you can go and join them. Or you could announce you want one and people may join you. So, more than encouraged. Alright, well, I just got a little tap on my foot telling me it's time for me to go. So, I think we need to have our concluding practice. So I invite everyone to stand up. And we're just going to finish with the dedication. I'm going to say what I'm dedicating this session to. You may want to say that to yourself, or you may want to say something else. So for me, this session is for a world where everybody is enlightened. Everybody's choosing happiness and bliss and love. Everyone's choosing to be their most awesome self. Humanity's working together. World peace, kindness. People are comfortable in any social situation, and we're okay with each other, and people are free to just enjoy their life no matter what happens. You may want to dedicate this time you spent here to something similar, or you may want to dedicate it to yourself having more happiness and peace, or being okay with whatever's happening in your social circles. You may want to dedicate this session to whatever you just thought about. So I think you're all amazing. I do these sessions because I truly believe you can be that enlightened being, and that you actually are that enlightened being. Any other habits or things on your mind, just shed them away. I respect and I dedicate this session to you. So we're going to walk out and then meet each other out in the field and just begin the social part of this evening.